That's life. Sometimes guy's on a heater and you get in his way.
The stage is set for two of the best in the world to go head-to-head once again, back-to-back semifinal clashes from Chopu to Lower Trestles. John from Hawaii getting closer to the top 10 picture, and Kelly Slater trying to really impact the world title race at stop number 8 on the Samsung Galaxy ASP World Championship Tour. Joe Drappel with Martin Potter for the call as we see John slide out on his first wave. That'll hand priority back to Kelly Slater. This is the matchup we've been waiting for. From back at the Pipe Masters in the final last season to Chopu at the last stop, where we're still calling it maybe the best heat of all time, decided by a tiebreak situation. Now coming to Lower Trestles pots on a whole different playing field.
That it is. It's a different stage, but still the big stage nonetheless, Joe. You know, these guys are, you know, they've got to be the best in all kinds of conditions, and they really are proving that. Going from 10 to 12 foot with 15-foot sets out at barreling Chopu to windy, blustery, really red-hot, you know, high-performance conditions here at Lower Trestles. The semi-finals are set. Jordy Smith's in the final. Who's going to meet him? One of these two guys, who, no matter who it is, it's going to be an unbelievable final.
Well, John Florence was just a little baby when Kelly started coming to Hawaii to compete and winning world titles. Kelly knew John when he was just a young little kid. They'd go body surfing together in the shore breakdown at Ehukai, and Kelly got to watch John turn into the surfer he is today. Taking another look at the left-hander, John sets his pace for a backside air reverse.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, you know, it's very similar conditions to when he won Margaret River. That really hard sort of side shore wind. So John's almost like he's watched what happened with Jordy and Ace and went, you know what, I'm going to go on the lefts. I'm going to try and bust some big air reverses, throw the board really high up in the air and try and score some big moves on those really short, punchy left-handers.
Well, first finalist for the Hurley Pro, Jordy Smith with Rosie Hodge.
Of the Hurley Pro, but also Jordy's first final. I think the question is, what's taken him so long?
I'm not too sure. I'm actually asking myself the same question. Nah, I don't know. I'm just really enjoying this event. I'm having a lot of fun, and I still, to be honest, trying to wait to get those bombs where I can really open up and just kind of let it loose. I think now's the time, you know, in the final. Got this 4-8, just let it all hang out and yeah, have a bit of fun with it.
Like you said, you've really got to go for it in the final. You're going to be coming up against Kelly Slater or John. You know, how do you kind of redirect your performance and really just let it all hang out?
Well, any one of these guys, you know, to be up in the final with them, they're the best servers in the world right now. So, yeah, I just want to bring my A game, and I want to put on a good show and hopefully come out with a win.
Well, Jordy, we look forward to being thoroughly entertained by you boys. Back up to you, Joe.
Thanks, Rosie. Jordy Smith preparing for a huge final here at Lower Trestles. Absent from this final heat throughout the season in 2014. And we'll see him pick back up in the rankings. We always expected that Jordy would potentially win this event with his arsenal above the lip and on the open face.
You know, Rosie asked him the question, what took him so long? He didn't really answer that, did he? I don't think he knows. I think it's just one of those kind of years for Jordy where he's been in such good form, but, you know, just something's missing. You know, just maybe a few mistakes here and there, you know, falling off a little bit more than I think he should. You know, made a couple of mistakes against Ace as well. Left Ace in the box seat, and Ace just couldn't really capitalize at the end of that. So Jordy's got to come out in the finals no matter who he's got, and he's really got to bring his A game.
Well, we look at the matchups on paper. Kelly's won the matchups that have really stung John Florence, including the Pipe Masters final last season on John's home court. As we see the glide in, Florence on his third attempt to get a score. He'll go to his forehand for a big frontside carve. Now waiting, looking for something to ramp up. Clear for takeoff. He misreads the air reverse. Another fall for Florence as still small scores continue in this heat.
You know, it's going to take a different kind of air because that wind's blowing right across the face.
Now Kelly up and out.
You know, exactly, what I saw John right there. You know, earlier in the piece, the wind wasn't quite as strong. It's blowing sort of from the lefts across the rights. And, you know, once he does that big air reverse, the wind's going to blow his board away from him. So he's got to tweak that. I'm sure he's got an alternative air that he's got under his up his sleeve that he can do, but it's going to take something different for John to try and pull those kind of moves off.
Well, the backside air reverse that John does is insane to watch. One of the best motions in the world. Amazing footwork with this kind of wind. You think he'd land one for sure in a 30-minute matchup. A lot of snowboarders and skateboarders have been chiming in, saying that surfers need to start giving credit to the rotation, calling them 540s, 720s at this stage. What do you think, Pods?
Yeah, you know, I mean, skateboarders, snowboarders, surfing, to me, it's all the same. It's, you know, it's that extreme sport, and, you know, John's definitely brought it into our sport.
As we see 22 minutes, 25 seconds remaining, Slater needs a 2.87 as we look back to maybe what could still be called the best heat of all time. Pumping conditions at the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Everything was set. If you could pick two guys to battle, you'd say John and Kelly in conditions like this. John got the first wave, a 9.9.
That could have been a 10 any other day except that day, because right behind him, this is what Kelly Slater did. John was paddling out. Look how high Kelly got in the barrel there, almost avoiding that foam ball, came flying out of the end. They had to give one of those waves a 10, and they gave it to Kelly.
Look how glassy the conditions were. John held the rail just for the takeoff. Let's go. He says he feels more comfortable doing so, and he was styling his way out. That's the closest to a John claim we can get.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, Kelly just opting a different approach. There he lets go of the rail, grabs it again just to make sure. I mean, this day was absolutely pumping. Look at the conditions. These two guys are the best in the world. And why? Because they're able to do their best surfing in no matter what it is thrown at them. John was looking on fire. I mean, look at that. Let's go of the rail. Look at him pump through the barrel, grabs it again just to make sure he comes out of that one. These guys were going wave for wave. It was a seesaw battle all the way till the bitter end. They actually tied and went back to the single highest scoring wave. Kelly got a 10 and won that heat. So unbelievable stuff. A different stage right now. It's going to take a different headspace. It's going to be more high performance. John's going to go to the air, that's for sure. Kelly needs to be on the best waves right here.
Well, you can see how much depth it takes to be a world champion, going for backside barrels and now going for big high performance moves. We had a huge performance from Ace Buchan. He's with Rosie Hodge.
Yeah, thank you so much. Adrian Buchan finishing out this contest with a semi-final result. That's your best result this year. A huge boost for your ratings. You know that you must gain some confidence going into France.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's right now it's disappointing because I feel like I had really good rhythm this event and just maybe showed a little bit of a lack of patience there and took a couple waves that didn't really pan out. But, you know, third's a great result and I feel really confident. Like, it's definitely the best surfing I've done all year, so I'm going to take that into France.
And, you know, you've had a couple of those few disappointing results where it hasn't really gone your way, but knowing that you can get those nines, pull out those big waves, pull out those big results, going into France where you have won before, you must be feeling really good.
Yeah, France is a happy hunting ground for me for sure. It's one of my favourite stops on tour and, you know, I feel really comfortable there. I love the waves over there and like I said, I mean, I think I've kind of worked hard and kind of earned the right to be confident in the back half of the year and I feel good and I'm really enjoying myself, so I'm just going to keep the same approach.
Well done on this result, Ace. We look forward to seeing you there. Back up to you boys.
Thanks, Rosie. Ace Buchan, back-to-back keeper results from a quarter in Tahiti to his first semi-final of the season, as he'll be in a good place to strike in France, a place where he has won before. We just had a wave ridden. Let's stick with the left with John.
Yeah, we knew John was going to do this. You were saying he's got one of the best backhand air reverses in the game. And right there, you can just see him using the wind just to keep that board on his feet. There was no grab there. So, John, this is kind of the game that he's going to play against Kelly. He's going to let Kelly get those right-handers. He's going to go left and try and boost some air. Kelly, on the other hand, I mean, just clinical surfing from him. That trademark turn that he's got down so much. And right here, he's got to go to the air sooner or later and does it right there. Perfect rail grab, air reverse. The technique is perfect. You can see how he doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the wave. He needs to use that grab, otherwise the wind's going to blow the board away from his feet. He knows that more than anyone. So Kelly Slater opens up with a pretty good wave. John, wave number 4 already under his belt, and Kelly's just posted his best score.
You can see again, continuing with that theme, Pots, of Kelly Slater ramping up in places that he's not supposed to, breaking the rules. Air wind into the left, he does a big frontside air on the right. Yeah,
you know, and you can see the grab there. It was more of a, you know, he didn't push the board away from him like he did in round number 1. He kept the board really close to his body just to make sure that he had complete control over that. It's a very difficult wind to do the airs on the right-handers. But there we can see the world rankings. I'll tell you what, Kelly looking pretty good right now.
A big position for Kelly Slater to take his first win of the season. And Lower Trestles is the place where he's made his mark, his first pro win. As we look back at John Florence trying to get involved in the top 10. Josh Kerr got knocked out early. Owen Wright's out of the event. So we could see a huge jump for John heading into France.
And Geordie too. Geordie down in number 14 place. He's in the final. So, you know, he's going to look like he's going to move up the rankings as well. So both John and Geordie are definitely going to be movers and shakers here in this event.
17:30 to go in the second semifinal for the Hurley Pro. The winner takes on Geordie Smith in the main heat to follow the Swatch Women's Pro, which is already stacked with Stephanie Gilmore and Sally Fitzgibbons immediately following this matchup. Kelly just turned in an 8.43 to take the lead over John, and now Florence looking for a 4.17 to answer back.
You know, this is what we wanted to see. I wanted to see Kelly post something good straight off the bat. That's just going to make John crank it up. You know, now we're going to see fireworks from John Florence, and that's exactly what Kelly was going to do. Put the pressure on him straight away, make him have to go for something big, and then hopefully make mistakes. You know, we heard Kelly in that post-heat interview say, you know, let's hope John has already peaked because he's had 2 great heats already, 5 nines in round number 4, and then basically came out in the quarterfinals and posted a 9.17 in his first wave. So Kelly's hoping, fingers crossed, that he's already peaked.
As we see the fans here at the water's edge, as you see this low tide that already bottomed out about 12:30 this afternoon, it'll be rising through the finals, and we'll be crowning our champions today on finals day here at the Hurley Pro. Kelly and John matched up once again, a dream matchup at Lower Trestles as Florence needs a 4.17. We've seen him come up just on the World Tour for a couple of seasons. He was able to win Rookie of the Year in a tight race over Miguel Pupo and Gabriel Medina that season.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's a super talent. You know, the guy is, you know, once he works out the game and irons out all the creases, I think he's going to be, you know, top 5 guy on a very consistent basis. World Championships, definitely. I can see multiple. Once he just works out the game and doesn't make as many mistakes, I think if he cleans his act up, this kid is going to be really hard to beat.
Well, we do have a world champion, a big wave world champion, sitting in the channel out there, and he's got his eye on the wind. Pete Mel, how's the wind feeling for you out there?
Well, I just moved over to the left, you know, and I was just kind of, you saw John starting to make a move on those lefts, and you're talking about how he loves to use the wind as a you know, backdrop to his airs off these things. And it's just like Northwind Aukai Beach Park out of his backyard where he grew up on the North Shore. So he is definitely, I mean, we all know he's got that backside air reverse, and he's thinking about it right here. I mean, a couple of mistakes so far in this heat, really hasn't been able to land one yet, but I feel like there's something coming, I think.
Thank you, Peter, for the update. With now 15 on the clock, let's see if that air wind helps out John Florence to separate his game from Kelly Slater. We saw Kelly really start to build on his momentum and do his best surfing on finals day. He tends to do that year after year, saving his best for the finale, as he'll glide into a small wave and change his mind.
You know, that's why Kelly's got 11 world titles, you know, and so many wins because of that fact. Because, you know, he's such a smart surfer in the sense of he'll peak when he needs to. You know, he'll win heats only just, you know, not even by producing his best surfing. He'll do just enough to win his heats, and then basically he's got so much left in the tank for the last day, and that's exactly what's happening right here.
Well, we will have a yellow jersey change when we head into Europe. Sally Fitzgibbons, the new world #1, takes on 5-time world champ Stephanie Gilmore. Longtime rivals, all Australian battle. They both have won Australian Female Surfer of the Year, and they have a lot of people rooting for them overseas, and they've already taken on a huge fan base here in Southern California.
Yeah, you know what I was surprised about? Not surprised, but really stoked to see was Joanne Defay's performance. Rookie of the Year is in her sights now. You know, she's clawing her way back into that fight with Dimity Stoyle. It's good to see. I mean, these are tricky conditions. She came up against some big girls and took them down, and, you know, posting some big scores. So good to see the rookie stepping up.
Well, a big part of this event is going big, and we have the Swatch Women's Pro Innovation Award and the Hurley Pro Innovation Award going to the boldest, most progressive performances during the event. And now it's time to hand the winner out to the Swatch Women's Pro recipient. We have Lakey Peterson on the desk with Todd and Strider.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, first and foremost, congratulations on winning such a prestigious award, the Swatch Women's Pro. Innovation Award. I mean, it's the first time we're doing it. Obviously, beautiful trophies. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's yeah, I'm honored to get this award. It's cool because lowers is just such a great way for being innovative and progressive, and I was just having a blast out there. So
well, let's talk about the maneuver that actually won this for you. It was in round 4, heat number 2, up against, at the time, current world number 1, Carissa Moore. And, you know, you were going into this section. Talk to us about what was going through your mind as you saw this section coming at you.
Yeah, I primarily took it to keep Carissa off the wave, just because I didn't know what it was really going to do. It was a great wave from the very top, but we were paddling back out, and I got around the section, and the only thing it really provided was something to do like with either an aerial or a layback or whatever, and so yeah, I just tried to take advantage of the opportunity.
And you did.
Yeah, thanks.
I've seen you do that maneuver, you know, over and over again. I saw you do it in free surfs. I've seen you do it, you know, surfing up in your home beach breaks. John's getting after it right now. Sorry, he was just out there trying to get your move right there. Looking good though. John's going to come through the inside and trying to finish strong. He really needs a good score on the board. This will be his best score so far, it looks like. Let's see if he can finish up strong on the inside and come up with another progressive maneuver for us to build his momentum.
Well, the good news is he can't take your trophy from you.
So
you've already won it.
Safe there.
What I was saying was that I've seen you do, you know, that maneuver so many times, like basically with your eyes closed, you know, moving on. I know you got some more tricks in your bag, so to speak. You know, what else are you looking at to push the sport and women's surfing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the next few events are going to have a lot of opportunity, I think, to continue to do more aerial and progressive stuff, and I think a lot of the other girls are going to look to do that, especially, you know, like Carissa and Tyler are doing a ton of that stuff as well. So for me, it's just becoming more and more consistent and continuing to just get them, I don't know, I guess, like how the guys have them in a way, and just trying new stuff, different grabs, no grabs, whatever, continue to just progress it as much as I can.
Well, congratulations on the award. Thank you for pushing the sport of surfing. And let's look at the men's side of things who won that. It was Felipe Toledo for a massive backside air rotation, and we know that he's got airs on lock, but this was one of the most innovative maneuvers that I've ever seen in competition. I mean, it was so high above the lip. Lakey, what was your take when you saw this go down?
I couldn't believe it. The guys have been surfing amazing, and Philippe's kind of known for his air side of stuff, and yeah, that was unreal. Andy backed it up with an amazing turn, so well deserved for Philippe, and I'm just taking notes.
Alrighty, congratulations to you, Lakey Peterson. The Innovation Award going to her, as well as Felipe Toledo. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Todd Strider and Lakey Peterson, for going above the lip. I love that early grab, blowtail, stomped it beautifully. She's thrown different variety on that same section ever since she was a grommet. She'll do the full air reverse. She's done the stock frontside air, and that was one of the things she wants to bring, variety above the lip to separate herself from the top 17, as we have John Florence on the replay, Potts.
Yeah, you know, John needed something special, and that's exactly what he did. A 4.67 on this way for him. You know, just a nice air reverse, and you can see him just keeping it going, keeping that board busy. Even when the wave gets small, you can just see how much energy he's putting into his turns. Just even that little turn right there, you know, he's got that real quiet upper body. It all is happening down below the legs, right there, just putting so much into it again. So John answering back to Kelly, a 6.67, and puts him in the lead. You can see just clicking that exactly where he needed to, widens the stance, gets that foot up on the nose. And as you've heard him say before, things slow down, Joe, once he's up in the air. And it's all that peripheral vision stuff that, you know, works out where his foot needs to be on the board, you know, sticks the nose in the water, spins that thing around. So an amazing ability, amazing talent, John Florence.
Well, one thing that John Florence and Kelly Slater have in common is that they absolutely love to surf. That might sound funny being a pro surfer, but in between events, they're hunting down swells. They don't try to take time to relax. They are so addicted to scoring perfect waves. John will spend a day to surf Chopu on his way to South Africa without even spending a night there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's why they're the best in the world. That's why, because they just want to ride waves. They want to, you know, better their techniques. They want to, you know, especially Kelly. As soon as there's a swell in Fiji, he flies over to Tavarua, even if it's for a day or two, you know, and capitalize on that. And you'll just get to know that spot a little bit better. And John does the same thing with Tahiti. You know, he'll fly over, surf a quick swell at Chopes for a couple of days, and then he's out of there. So that's what you've got to do. You know, you want to sharpen your skills on certain waves that are on tour, waves like Cloudbreak and Chopu, waves of consequence, waves that if you get to know better, you'll actually compete better at it. You'll be a little bit more comfortable with it. Pipeline, obviously, another one. You know, it's a hard wave to ride. Why? Because you don't get a lot of time to practice on it. And when you do get to time to practice on it, it's got about 100 local guys out there. So, you know, the traveling pros don't really get to, you know, that opportunity.
Well, it's interesting when you look at those venues, you look to John and Kelly to set the pace when it comes to Pipe Masters time, which is our season ender every single year on tour. Right now out front, we're trying to sort out the final, see who will match up with Jordy Smith. Kelly Slater needs a 2.74 to take the lead off John. High line setup carve, looking for the float. Now pacing his way down the beach, vertical climb section, and he'll slow down to wait for some open face. Could have a little inside track now. Little projection turn, building some momentum and looking for a huge finish. He's committed to take this one way down the beach. A big drawn out roundhouse cutback, incomplete. It will get the score to turn the heat. But should he have committed to that wave for so long, Tots?
Well, you know, he obviously saw something down on that inside, and that's the tricky thing with this wave. You know, sometimes it'll fool you. Sometimes it'll look like it's going to stand up, and you can see Kelly. He opens up with that traditional turn. You can see him racing down the line. I thought he was going to go for an air right there, but deciding just to get that transition turn and get himself back on the open face. See him standing on the tail of the board, waiting for it. Most people would race down the line. Kelly, opposite.
Now John lay back, blow tail reverse, and he goes into the next section over the top, back into a wrapping cutback. Insane amount of variety and progression under the lip. Blow tail ends up going down. When John gets going on the lowers wall, it is so dangerous to watch. An insane first turn, and now the paddle battle to get priority.
You know, it's that whole thing of, did Kelly need to commit to that inside section? Did John need to commit to that last turn? Like, he should have maybe pulled back and really stuck that one. But have a look at that. That's just, how do you even explain that? I mean, that's just something that, you know, it comes with freakish talent. And then, you know, all this in-between stuff, that's the stuff that just builds up for this last turn right here. He went for a no-grab one on the inside, but have a look at this opening turn here. You know, John, one of the best at it in the world. You can see once he bangs it, throws the board out, puts the front foot forward right there, pokes the nose in, and that gives him something to pivot off. And that's what happened right there. The nose stuck in, spun the board around immediately, and John just kept that momentum going. His body followed, and the board spun with it. So just, you know, that's stuff that you cannot teach. That's stuff you can just you've got to be born with that.
Impressive nose pick reverse to start, even blowing his fins out the back. There's not many people in the world that can do that big maneuver on the first section. He risked it on the takeoff. We saw him kind of get warmed up through the first 3 waves, and now he's getting some keeper shots.
So we talk about 99.999% of the humans on the planet don't know how to do that. How the judge is going to judge that, that's the thing. You know, if you can't do something like that, how do you judge it? I mean, it's one of those maneuvers that it's sort of beyond description. You know, it's a freakish talent that it takes to have something like that in your repertoire.
Scores coming in for last of Slater, a 4.53 as he does take the lead. So John needed a 6.3 on his last wave. That's yet to come in. Passing the 5-minute warning, John Florence wins the paddle battle for priority. Paddling is one of those things you break down here in their pods. And Kelly is, you know, has been one of the strongest paddlers on tour for a long time.
You know, we saw a couple of paddle battles today, and what it does is it takes a lot of energy out of you because there's no jet ski assist, and this wave does take a lot of energy out of you. Kelly just backed off, you know, save your energy. He's a smart guy. Let John get priority. John's going to go on something really soon and leave Kelly out the back with one more shot. So we're still waiting for that score to be dropped in. But, you know, to me, that last maneuver that John went for, that's just youth. That's something that John's got to clean up if he wants to, you know, be in the running for world titles in years to come. He needs to make sure he finishes his waves off, because what we've seen so far in this event, guys that don't finish their waves off, that could have gone into the 9+ range, but it probably won't now because of that.
John Florence is not one to lay down a soft turn and play it safe, and we'll see if that costs him this heat. A big bottom turn and a rare fall for Slater. He lets that one go, and it's trimming down this little cobblestone reef. 3:40 remaining. Florence still with first priority, and he'll hold his position. His wave before a 6.67, before that a 4.5. Florence needs a 6.3, and now scores are drifting in from that last wave where he did the nose pick reverse, multiple turns, felt on the finish, and we'll see what the judges think if they give him a lead change.
6.30 required by John, and you know, he's probably going to get it, Joe. But like I said, had he finished that thing off, it was going to definitely go up into the 8+9, maybe even 9-point range. And then Kelly would have needed something really special to come back at that. So score's starting to trickle in now. He's going to get the score, that's for sure. But, you know, he's got one more shot. John's got priority, though. And this is where Kelly needs to somehow sneak a wave underneath John's priority.
2:50 remaining. Potts, where'd the time go?
I know.
Fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
One more score to lock in for John Florence. He does take the lead. It's a 7.60. Slater now needs a 5.84. As we have a packed house on the beach here at Lower Trestles, max capacity. The parking lots are full. People are trying to walk down the beach from Upper Trestles to get a spot to watch the finals. And now John applies pressure to the 11-time world champ, and Kelly now needs to perform to make a final and get into this world title race.
All right, well, a wave right here, John with priority, and he says, you know what, Kelly, you can have it. We saw Taj do that to and again, another mistake from the champ. That's 2 in a row. He's just fallen off the front of the board there. So is that the epoxy? Is that light composite that didn't give him that drive that he was looking for? You know, the wind, it's a lot windier this afternoon, a lot more bump on the face of the wave. We've just seen him go over the handlebars twice as we see the onlookers. Definitely an exciting part right now. John with the lead. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. Can he hang on?
A big moment for John Florence, and he's not worried about letting Kelly gamble on smaller waves. He's given him a couple of rolls of the dice. We've seen what's happened with Kelly without priority against Taj Burrow in this event, and also in previous finals out here, turning small waves into major scores.
Yep.
And now the fans on the beach letting us know that there's something coming.
Exactly right. Whistling normally means there's a set out the back. You know, Kelly's one of the most popular guys around this side of the world, pretty much worldwide. John's going to take it off him. Here we go. John Florence up and riding.
Now using priority. John needing to better a 6.67. Layback hook to start. High line and cut back, and now he's looking for this inside ramp. He'll have to fade another carve into the pocket. Now the lip to hit. Throws the tail towards the beach. Reverse complete for Florence. And now Kelly will get a part of this set. He needs something huge to come back on this one. Deep on it, he'll float. Off the bottom, straight up vert, ditches the fins, all the way around to reverse. Big completion for Kelly. He'll wrap it back. Nice tight rebound. Small inside section on the corner. Another fierce roundhouse cutback. Looking to seal it with a power hook. And he'll stomp his finish. A big answer back, and he'll call that one a heat with 20 seconds remaining.
Wow. Well, talk about drama. You know, John, he needed to better a 6.67. Did he do that on that last ride? Because if he didn't, Kelly Slater could quite possibly have got that 5.84. So that's what we got to look at right now. John had to have bettered his last score because Kelly could quite possibly have got that 5.84. It's in the judges' hands right now, and it's always a scary place to leave it.
A heavy moment now for John Florence as he's looking to get Kelly back from the semifinal in Tahiti. Another close finish, back-to-back. This heat living up to the expectations. As they'll wait for that decision, we have the video replay, and the Swatch Women's Final will be on hold until they set this one out. Smart decision for John to take the first wave with priority.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I thought that first wave, only John could have got a score out of it. Let's have a look at it right now as he takes off. Bottom turns, nice big layback snap there just to set things up. That's how he gets his mojo on the wave. Another turn, focusing down the line. This is what he's looking for. He wants something special, always looking to improve his score. Bang, right there, spins it perfectly, comes out clean, and scores initially coming through. Looks like John has improved on his situation. Kelly, on the other hand, as he races down the line, floats up over the section. He needs something big as he draws off the bottom. Kind of got caught there, I thought. Maybe needed that spin a little quicker. But Kelly's still looking for some more on the inside. He knows that he needs something special to get the score. Is this going to be enough? And finishes right there, nice and tight and fast. So it's in the judges' hands. John, 7.50. Kelly needing a 6.67 on that last wave.
Kelly already in the locker room as they're looking at the replays. Upstairs, a 6.67. We've had him answer back in his last heat yesterday, and now scores are starting to drop in, and Kelly's seeing the first few numbers. He'll put the board back in the locker. One more to set this heat off. It's a 5.67, and it's not enough. John Florence moves on to the final to take on Jordy Smith at the Hurley Pro.
I don't think he was too happy with that. But, I mean, he dodged a bullet yesterday, and I'll tell you what, he really needed something. I think that rotation maybe was what held him back. I think he needed to be a quicker spin on it. Kind of got caught up a little bit. It was almost a slow motion sort of maneuver. So John moves through, gets one back on Kelly Slater as we hear the start of the Swatch Women's Pro Final. Stephanie Gilmore up against Sally.
As we anticipate finals time, John takes on Jordy Smith. We'll take a quick break. We'll be crowning our champions right after this.
Running down to the